Hi, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Madeline, and I am here on behalf of Mission B, Mindful Education. And today we're going to learn about digital detox, which is a great time to practice it, as well as cultivating empathy. And so we're going to learn about how we can do these practices and also how we can bring them into the classroom. And so I first just wanted to take a moment and just to introduce myself and tell you a little bit more about Mission B. Like I said, my name is Madeline, and I'm a senior mindfulness educator and the West Coast director. And I found mindfulness when I was actually in high school. I was really anxious and overwhelmed a lot, and I found mindfulness through yoga. And after my first class, I was pretty hooked on it. I felt the benefits of my mind finally feeling, more calm. I wasn't hearing that self-critic as harshly, telling me that, I needed to do more or wasn't good enough. And so these types of practices that we're going to learn today have supported me immensely in my mental and even my physical health. And that's why I'm here to serve you and to support you, because I truly believe in these practices. And Mission B, as you probably know, is a nonprofit. And what we do is we go into schools and we train the teachers, and we also teach the children. And we even do teacher trainings as well. And so we taught over 110 schools. We've trained over 7,000 teachers and impacted over 100,000 students. And so just to get started, I'm going to share my slide with you now. And so, what is mindfulness, right? And I like to think about what isn't mindful to help us understand the definition of it. How often have you been driving to the grocery store and you made it home safely, but you don't remember anything about the drive, right? Or you're talking to a friend at lunch and all you can think about is your endless to-do list and have no idea about what they just said. And I'm so guilty of this happening, but with my practice of mindfulness, I now have that awareness that it's happening, that my mind has gone someplace else, and I can bring my attention back to the present moment. And one of the most important parts is I can be kind to myself instead of, beating myself up about not focusing on that person in front of me. And so mindfulness is a state of mind defined by having an awareness and an attitude in the present moment that is curious and accepting and non-judgmental too. And so I now want to take you into a practice, a mindfulness practice where we focus on our breath. Our breath is the connection between our mind and our body, and it's a really good way for us to get out of the doing mind, the busyness, and more into the present moment. And so we're going to do a breath that we count the breath. It's called the 7-2-8 breath. So you inhale for 7, hold the breath for 2, and then you exhale for 8. The other one we're going to do is cool and warm air breath. And so these are great breaths. Like 7-2-8 is great for adults. And then it's also good for middle and high school students. And then the cool and air warm breath is great for all ages. I do it a lot. I know students love it as well. And so I'll guide you through it. And so you just want to find a comfortable seat for you, or you have a long spine, but you also want to feel at ease, right? You don't want to be really tense. So relaxing the shoulders, softening your belly, feeling your feet on the floor. And you can do whatever with your hands. I love to just interlace my hands and bring my hands into my lap. And I love to close my eyes, but that's just an option. So if you want to close your eyes, you can. I find it easier to really notice my breath. But if that's too much for you, you can always just bring your gaze down towards the floor to something that's not going to distract you. And I'll ring the bell, and that's when the practice begins. Good. And so before we begin, we just feeling our bodies being settled here in this moment. See if you can feel that contact with your chair, the backs of your thighs. Maybe you feel a little pressure. Maybe you feel warmth. And then feeling your feet on the floor, that support from underneath you. And then just checking in with your body, noticing if there's any tension in the face that you could soften, like right in between the eyebrows or the jaw, maybe moving the lower jaw slightly side to side. Allowing the shoulders to relax. It might be nice to draw them up and then roll them back and down. And then taking a deep breath in. And a long, long breath out. And just know that this is just an option, just an invitation. So if this isn't landing for you, I invite you to just, feel the weight of your body. But when you're ready, again, take another deep breath in. And another long, long breath out. And on your next breath in, count in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold for 1, 2. And then a slow exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I'm going to invite you to do that on your own. Inhale 7, hold 2, exhale 8. I invite you to try and breathe in and out of your nose, but if you're feeling congested, that's okay. And to also, if you can't get to 7, can't get to 8, it's okay. Just try and have a longer exhale. The mind wanders into thinking or doing, just come back and start again. There's no accomplishing here. It's just bringing all of your attention to just your breath, away from the thinking, more into the present moment. Good. Taking a deep breath in and a long, long breath out. And now letting go of that breath. And I invite you to just feel the breath entering and leaving your nose. So feel the breath entering your nose, hitting your back throat. Feel the breath filling up the lungs and then the belly. And then feel the breath leaving the body, leaving the nose and hitting the top lip. You can imagine like clean, fresh oxygen coming in through the nose. And any stress and worries leaving the nose. Really clearing the mind and the body. And I invite you to even notice the subtlety of the breath, how the breath as it enters the nose, it's a little cooler in temperature. And as it leaves your nose, it's a little bit warmer. See if you can feel that. Good. Taking a deep, deep breath in and a long breath out. And with your eyes still closed, letting go of that breath, coming back into the feeling in your body, just sitting. Notice what it feels like to just give yourself that moment of self-care, to take a little pause. And notice if you feel a shift in the mind. Or maybe you notice you feel a little more relaxed in the body. Maybe you notice your emotions have changed slightly. So just bring your awareness to how you are feeling in this very moment. And then when you're ready, you can slowly, very gently open up your eyes and take in your environment, noticing the different colors you see, maybe the different items you see after taking that little pause to come back. Okay. And so those two breaths are great breaths to do for yourself, or they're great breaths to do for teaching as well. And so now we're going to do a little bit of movement. I'm going to stay seated so that you can fully see me doing the movements, but I invite you to actually stand up. So if you need a moment to pause me and to stand up, that's the beauty of this being recorded. I invite you to do that. And so for the first breath is the elevator breath, right? And so for the elevator breath, you're going to have your hands at about hip level, okay? And you're going to have your palms facing upward. And so first bring your feet about hip distance apart, find a slight bend in your knees and just feel your feet on the ground. Notice if there's any tightness in the body that you could simply relax, the shoulders again, the jaw, right in between the eyebrows. And then take a deep, deep breath in and a deep, deep breath out. And then for this breath, as you breathe in, you're going to lift your arms up towards your shoulders. Look to your hands as you do this. And then as you breathe out, you're going to bring your hands down by your hips. And it's really, really slowly. Inhale, you reach, not about rushing. You actually want to do the opposite. And then as you breathe out, you're going to slowly bring your hands back down. And just keep following that, breathing in, bring your attention to your hands and your breath, and breathing out, arms back down. Beautiful. Breathing in. And breathing out. We'll do that again, breathing in. And breathing out. And then bring your arms down by your side. Just feel the effects of that. If you want to close your eyes and just feel your 2 feet on the floor, take a deep breath in. And a deep, deep breath out. And then the half circle breath, inhale, reach your arms up to one side, palms facing up. And then as you breathe out, you're going to bring your arms up to the other side. And it's just a fluid movement like this. And I love when I do this just to kind of sway my hips side to side. And just bring your gaze to your hands while you move. And I always tell the students, this isn't supposed to look or be a certain way. It's actually the opposite. It's just you feeling your body and kind of giving it what it needs. It's not a performance. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And so just stay with the breath as you move. Breathing in and breathing out. Beautiful. Bring your arms back down by your side. Take another full breath in and another full breath out. And so I invite you to just ask yourself, how did those movements feel for you? And if you really enjoyed some of those movements, I highly, highly suggest adding them again to your day, maybe right when you wake up in the morning, before you start class. And so now we're going to start to talk about being present in this digital world that we live in. And so I invite you to just take a moment and pause and just to ask yourself, do you multitask? Do you think getting more done, you get more done by multitasking? And multitasking is seen in our society, or can be seen in our society, as being an effective worker, right? And to be honest, sometimes I find myself playing these games in my mind of feeling like I should be doing something else when I'm working on one task, or feeling like I'm missing out by not checking my email or the news, right? And then I'll remember I need to send an email, and then I'll look on my email, and then the next thing you know, I'm on another site. And this only leaves me feeling anxious, right, and unaccomplished. And multitasking can leave us feeling a little bit frantic, right, and could actually hurt our productivity. And so again, just ask yourself, do you check your email while on a call? And at the same time, perhaps glancing at something online, like a news article? And if that's the case, where actually is our focus, right? And by doing this, we are just spreading our mental energy and wasting time and causing mental stress, right? And so neuroscientist says that multitasking literally drains your mind's energy, preserves, causing you to lose focus and maybe even feeling a little bit more anxious, right? It really stops you from getting into that awesome flow state where you can really be super productive and get things done at a good pace. And multitask, and multiple studies have also shown that multitasking causes people to take longer to do one simple task, right? And so we have this powerful focus in our brains that can be calm and relaxed when we focus on just one thing at a time. However, our brains, right, they can't feel relaxed when we're doing those multiple things. And I teach the students, right? And yesterday I taught a mindfulness practice, a breath practice to elementary kids, and we were focusing on our breath, like what we just did. We did one of those practices. And I asked the students afterwards, like, how did that feel for you? One student shared that his focus on the breath felt like a laser beam in his mind to his breath, right? He was just so focused on his breath, right? And so this is how we can also feel with our work and with our conversations and in our meetings and with our colleagues. If we give ourselves the time to invest in just one thing at a time. So the more we concentrate, right, on one task, the more productive we can actually be. And we can also continue to check off that to-do list at a really steady pace. We can get a dopamine hit from completing it and feeling good, which we'll talk about today. And so how we do this, how do we do just one task at a time, right? We need to start by bringing our awareness and coming back to our purpose too. Like, why do we do what we do? Not all of our tasks are gonna be like super motivating and inspiring, right? Sometimes work can feel a little monotonous, right? And it feels better to look at the news or to go on social media, right? So we need to really come back and understand the importance of our task, that you as educators, you're educating your students so that they can have an amazing future. Or you being present with them, focusing just on them. You might be the only adult that's doing that, and you are really allowing them to see what it is to be compassionate and to be kind. So know that each of your tasks that you accomplish, from emailing a parent back, to grading a test, has meaning to others, even on your team, in your school, and your students, and should really, really be respected, right? And also, if you were one of them that said, I'm not good at multitasking, you're one of the common, right? Only 2% of people say that they can effectively multitask. And it's more likely that you succeed in work if you're not switching from task to task and not consuming so much media, right? And so this is a great thing to do for yourself. It can be kind of overwhelming when you see the numbers, but maybe you can see, if you have an iPhone, they show you how often you're on it. And so maybe looking and seeing, like, how often do you check your phone during your day? How many different windows do you typically have open on your screen at one time? I taught this to students at Sequoia High School, and they started to see if they thought it was a fun activity and challenge to see if they could get less time on their phone each week. So it was a challenge that they did, and they said they actually had more energy, had more time in their day than from being on their phones all the time. They felt more present, they felt more relaxed, they felt more at ease, they got more homework done at night. And so you can also give this a try to see what the number is and maybe to do less each week. And so the average teen does check their phones like 150 times, which is a lot. Adults 80 times every 12 minutes. So average windows open while studying is 7. So that's a lot. And again, this is normal. And so, not to beat yourself up about it. And that's a piece of mindfulness, is like, once we have the awareness, to be kind to ourselves and then to work on our growth and what we want to start to embody and start to do. And so, why do we even like love our phones, right? And when your phone rings or you get a text message, your brain actually produces that endorphins that makes us feel like connected and trusted and seen and loved. And so there are actually way healthier ways for us to gain these positive chemical, responses. as we consume more and more technology, the brain actually becomes addicted, similar to like drug or alcohol, when the brain gets that hit of dopamine. And so the notification sound on your phone from a photo you posted and likes are coming in, right? That's triggering an endorphins response. And then you just want more, right? And the brain attempts to maintain this high from the endorphins and it begins to crave more stimulation. So when we become addicted to our devices, without them, we can feel bored, right? However, boredom can actually spark creativity. It is also what we need to process information, and it's super important for us to really slow down and understand ourselves. And so when we step away from technology, it actually allows us to get a little more creative. It allows us to understand how we are feeling in the moment and actually take care of that so it doesn't linger and so that we're not, distracting ourselves with it as well. Again, like electronic addiction is a big thing, right? 61% of people claim they are addicted to their phones. 67% of teens check their phones every 15 minutes. And 3 and 4 of teens sleep with their phones on. And have you ever heard of the word nomophobia before? That moment of panic when you think you lost your phone, but it's actually like in your purse, right? I've definitely been guilty of that too. And so there are just a few consequences, right, of, us being on our phones all the time, right? America is taking in on average the equivalent of 40 gigabytes a day and about 150,000 words a day. And heavy internet users are 10 times more likely to be depressed. And so our minds need to be disconnected with low stimulus in order to effectively synthesize new information. And so when we disconnect, we're more likely to form those new creative ideas. And so downtime and free time without stimulus also allows us to move short-term memory into long-term memory. For example, it's hard to remember vocabulary words if you haven't had the time to really sit down without the stimulus, right? And so that's like really the power of mindfulness because it gives us that time and space to take a pause, to step away from our phones, to step away from all the external busyness that's happening in the world, and to just come back to ourselves. And so here are some really great tips for digital detox, like only checking social media at certain times of day, not bringing your phone into your bed or, using an actual alarm clock. I actually got that and I find it so much better because I found myself being on it right before bed, right when I woke up in the morning, and I could feel my nervous system, which I'll talk about next, being, dysregulated. And so I found that having an alarm clock and then not going on my phone until the start of work, right? And then also like not having my phone after 8 p.m. and taking that time to not take in the blue screen. Device-free meals is great to do. Taking an Enneagram break or media fasting, stepping away from stepping away from social media and that stuff for a little bit, and just kind of noticing if you do, like, how do you feel afterwards, right? Taking that little bit of a pause for yourself. And so talking about being dysregulated, I want to talk about our nervous system, right? And you probably know this and we teach this to the students. We have two nervous systems, and when one is on, the other is obviously off. And so we have the fight or flight, right? Our sympathetic, S for stress, and the other is the rest and digest, our parasympathetic, P for peaceful. And so you can think about it. When I used to public speak, my heartbeat would accelerate, my stomach would be upset, I get sweaty palms. I was really shy and anxious as a student. I hated being called on in class. But once I began to have a daily mindfulness practice, I was able to find ways to access that peaceful nervous system, right? In stressful situations. And what it does is it does the opposite. It moves everything really, really slowly. And what it does is it flushes, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline from our bodies, and moves blood and oxygen to the rest and digest system. And so mindfulness, slowing down, taking those deep breaths, doing the breath practices, taking breaks on social media, that can also help us enter into that parasympathetic nervous system. Because if you ask yourself, so we maybe we're doing things that are actually causing us to get into that sympathetic nervous system. If we constantly have news apps that ding us whenever there's new news, that might get us right into the sympathetic nervous system when we're not regulated in that moment. Or checking your email first thing in the morning, right? That might get you into that more stressful nervous system. So it's really good to check in and to obviously look at your emails and to look at the news, but to ask yourself how you're feeling in that moment before entering into it and just being a little bit more mindful. And another beautiful way for us to come back to the present moment and to feel connected without the dopamine hits from our social media or whatever else being on our phones is actually being vulnerable and practicing presence and compassionate listening really equals that connection, empathy. And so I'm going to take you through an empathy lesson now. But before I take you through, I just want to share with you the benefits of empathy, right? Empathy reduces stress and it helps us build our resilience. It also allows us to have creativity and innovation. It allows us to build that trust and allow us to have deeper communication with people. It can also prevent conflict too, because we're taking a moment and putting ourselves in our minds into someone else's shoes and kind of seeing how it is to be in their shoes, right? When we practice empathy, we like to teach the students, and I even practice this myself, like maintaining eye contact, looking into the person's eyes, really trying to notice their facial expressions, noticing if they look sad, if they look happy. And we can also, I like to tell the students too, we can also have empathy and not, it doesn't have to just be sad, right? We can have empathetic joy for someone, like feeling so excited for someone's birthday, your best friend's birthday, that it feels like it's your birthday too, right? Feeling that joy for them. And then when you're practicing empathy, to also share those mirroring facial expressions, like showing excitement when they're telling you something or showing sadness when they're showing it. And then responding with kind and supportive words and really practicing that component of mindfulness to listen without judgment, right? And also to kind of let go of what you're going to say next, one of the hardest things to do, and just really focus on what they're saying, right? Really putting yourself into their shoes, getting out of your mind and comparing, and just really embodying what it's like to be in their shoes. So if you are with someone right now, I invite you to take a pause and to do this activity. You can also do it with students as well in a classroom. We do it and it allows a lot of connection. And so you can share one thing that drives me crazy, one thing that challenges me is, one thing I'm most proud of is, one thing I love about myself. And so you ask the students to share one of those things, and then the person listening either says, I see you, or gives a little heart symbol. And that's it. They don't need to go into the story about it. They can just say that. And then vice versa. And you go back and forth, back and forth. You can do it in groups of 2, or you can do in groups of 3 or groups of 5, the whole class, whatever feels most comfortable. It's a really, really powerful practice. So if you have time right now and you're with others, I highly suggest pausing this and doing the activity. And so now I'm going to take you through a little empathy practice. And so for this, you can close your eyes. If you're in a space where you can lie down, I always invite you to lie down as well, whatever feels better for you in this moment. And you're always welcome to close the eyes or leave the eyes open, but maybe just bring your gaze downward so you can stay focused, not getting distracted by the things around you. And so I might just take a moment and just notice what it feels like to relax and to take that pause. And just start by, noticing if there's tension that you can release. When we release tension in the body, it can also help us feel a little more relaxed in the mind. So starting again with the forehead, traveling down to the eyes and your jaw, to your shoulders and your belly. Taking a deep breath in and a deep, deep breath out. Again, another deep breath in. And a long, long, long breath out. And we'll return back to that cool and air warm breath for a moment. Breathing in through the nose. And breathing out of the nose, not forcing the breath, just noticing it, observing it. As your eyes get a little heavier, your body gets a little more relaxed. And I invite you to think about your community. So this could be within your school, within your neighborhood. And I invite you to imagine, just pick one person in your community. Bring that one person here with you. Their facial expressions, their energy. And I invite you to notice what it's like to walk in their shoes. Imagine being someone, that someone. And imagine, what it's like to face their challenges, the things they go through or they've been through. Knowing that they too are going through the pandemic or another thing that's happening for them or that has. And then also imagine what it's like when they feel really proud or loved. Bringing that to mind too. And just remembering that we're all human beings that want to be seen and connected and loved. And so maybe sending some well wishes to this person in your mind, like may you be healthy, may you be safe. And then even imagine that person saying those kind words back to you. May you be safe. May you be healthy. Just taking that internal pause and noticing what it feels like to cultivate empathy in this moment. Then taking a deeper breath in and a long, long breath out. Slowly opening up your eyes and returning. And so just kind of noticing how it feels. And, we do this in the classrooms. And so we ask the students to just not share who they picked, but instead to share 2 words, describe how it felt to imagine yourself in someone else's shoes. And so some people feel kind, they'll say, or connected, or understanding. So see what 2 words come to mind when you just did that activity. And knowing that learning about each other helps us, break down those barriers. It embraces our similarities and our differences. It allows us to experience vulnerability and also learn to step into being courageous and encourage, right? And so I invite you to think about, you can pause this and do a little journaling on it. How will you practice digital detox and increase your empathy for you? And maybe do this as a little bit of a challenge and try and do it every day for a week or for 21 days. And it could be simple, like leaving your phone outside of your bed, getting an alarm clock, right? Or no phones during meals, right? And being able to actually connect with others during meals. Going on mindful walks, leaving the phone at home and just going for a walk, slowing down, right? Taking a little break from media for a little bit. Bringing this into the classroom too could be a great way. Practicing that empathetic listening, the facial expressions and slowing down, right? And so I'm going to actually end with a short little visualization too. And a visualization is when we use our imagination and imagine that we're somewhere else, right? And again, this is just an invitation. So if at any point it's not feeling good or you don't want to do it, know that that's okay. Take care of yourself. And that if that's the case, feel free to just focus on the breath, something that's more soothing for you, or just the heaviness of your body sitting. And so I invite you to come back to that comfortable posture and notice what it feels like again to just relax. And just start by just taking a deep, deep breath in and a long, long, long breath out. And I invite you to now close the eyes or bring the gaze towards something calming. Feel grounded to the earth beneath you. Start to bring all of your attention to the superpower, your breath, inviting slow, healing inhales and releasing soft exhales. And we can do a little bit of this ocean breath, hand to belly, hand to heart. On the inhale, you feel the belly and the chest rise and the lungs fill up with breath. And then as you exhale, you feel the chest and the lungs moving down and the belly softening. The belly fills up and the chest and the lungs. And then the chest and the lungs soften and the belly releases. And as you do this, just focus on your breath as it moves through your body. As you inhale, feel your body expand. As you exhale, notice how your body settles and relaxes. You can let go of that breath and just come back to the natural rhythm of your breath, maybe feeling it at your nose or your belly. And I invite you to use your imagination and imagine that you're on top of a mountain. And it's a safe mountain and it's beautiful and it's clear. And you notice the clouds are gently floating by. And if you're having any distracting thoughts, let them float by just like the clouds. They enter and they leave. And the sunlight is warming your body, and you feel it on the top of your head, washing down and warming your back, running all the way down to your legs and your toes. And you look into the distance from the top of the mountain, and you see the whole world in front of you. You see the trees and the ocean, and you imagine that you see the vast beauty of the earth and the sea, and you still feel relaxed. And you can see the ocean waves moving on their own, and feel your connection to nature. Your entire body and mind feel in sync with the world as you just simply sit on this beautiful mountaintop. And feel the breath in the body moving like an ocean waves as your thoughts pass gently by like the clouds. And just invite yourself to feel at peace, right? Really welcome in a state of peace and connection to all of nature. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Taking a deep, deep breath in and a deep, deep breath out. And slowly close your eyes or open up your eyes. Take in your space again. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe give yourself a big stretch. And then slowly come back to the screen. And so I hope that was helpful for you today. And so just remember to take that digital detox break and increase empathy. And again, thank you on behalf of Mission B. We're so grateful to have supported you. If you have any questions, reach out to Corinne Winter, the CEO, and you can find that on our website. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.